Merry Christmas Eve to everybody out there that is watching this. It is currently around 3:30 in the afternoon on Christmas Day, and I tell you what, temperatures out there are just cooking. We do have a warm front that is separating the area right now. Temperatures in the northern half of the region are in the 50s, where we have low 70s around Hopkins County, Christian County, back over towards Warren County and Bowling Green, and all across the Purchase area of western Kentucky, where most of the Purchase area is settling in the upper 60s to low 70s right now. It is currently 69.8 at my house, and it is holding steady as we are reaching the peak heating time of the afternoon. Just amazing that we are seeing this. In fact, Paducah, I think it read right around 1:48 p.m. this afternoon. They reached their all-time Christmas record high. Now, of course, we've only been keeping records for the past 100 years or so, maybe more than that. Not sure, but I know it hasn't been that long compared to how long Earth has been around, and we don't really know. I mean, it could have got warmer than this before we started keeping records, but since we've been keeping records, this is the first time that the temperature has hit 70 degrees, and I think we even got a little bit above that at the Weather Center and the National Weather Service in Paducah, Kentucky. So just a crazy event here. If Christmas was a week earlier, then we would be looking at temperatures. Remember last Sunday in the upper teens to low 20s, the coldest daytime high that we had reached so far this month of December, which has been a very cold month. And it just so turns out that right when we have a upper level, or rather a low pressure system at the surface moving across, it just happens to go well to our north and produces those warm anomalies right ahead of it, and that is what we are experiencing today. As we go throughout this week, there's not going to be a whole lot of activity happening. This past week, we didn't have a whole lot of activity. We did have a trace of ice that was reported across most of western Kentucky. In fact, all of western Kentucky picked up at least a trace of ice with the event last Saturday night, early Sunday morning, as temperatures plunged about 50 degrees across the area. And then we saw that rain that was left on area surfaces freezing over. And then we also saw some additional freezing rain over top of that. That moved into other portions of western Kentucky, such as the Bowling Green area, Hopkinsville. But if you were in the Purchase area, you missed out on that last batch of freezing rain that moved through, and it really did cause a lot of problems and even accumulated a little bit of sleet in areas such as Clarksville and just north of Nashville. So that was an event that was a little unusual. The way it was set up was not a very good setup for winter weather in our region, but we did pick up a little bit, and it did cause some travel hazards across the area. So that was the bad news part of it. But the good news is that it didn't turn out as bad as some models were anticipating that it would turn out to be. So that was the good news. This week we didn't have a lot of rain in the area until we got up until Christmas Eve morning, Friday night, and then Saturday morning, Christmas Eve morning. We did have about a half inch of rain. Most of western Kentucky picked up about a half inch of rain on that event, and then we saw a little bit of a break. We did have a warm front lift through the area early on Christmas morning, this morning, and that produced a few isolated rain showers. There was one that just happened to move over my house, and I picked up a little bit of measurable rainfall, but if you did, it was quick, it was brief, it wasn't much. The main concern this morning was the fog out there because of all of the warm temperatures over top the very cold ground. It did produce that fog, what we call advection fog, one of the three types of fog that you can have because of those two different air masses that were meeting up close to the surface. That fog did lift this afternoon. It broke away into clouds, and we ended up seeing some sunshine peeking through, and that is what caused our temperatures, along with very strong southerly flow, going into tonight, where winds could be gusting about 15 to 30 miles per hour, and also we could have even higher gusts than that. So make sure and keep those Christmas decorations inside, at least the really small, loose ones outside, before they blow around. You know the drill. We've had a lot of windy days the last month or so that many of you have had your Christmas decorations out. Notice how we have a big blizzard going over to our northwest across the Dakotas and extreme northwestern parts of Minnesota. Most of them won't see that much accumulating snowfall in Minnesota, but might see a few wraparound snow showers on the backside, accumulating about 3 to 5 inches. But it's going to be the areas in the Dakotas that see the big totals. We could see, according to the GFS, up to 20 inches. I think that's going a little bit extreme. What is extreme about this photo is the cutoff from the heavy snow to the light snow. Notice how we go from 20 inches to about 2 inches in a matter of a county or two, and that is just an amazing cutoff. Just shows you how those blizzards up there can be when you get that low pressure system. You got to get the perfect track with those guys to get the perfect snowfall. We have a little bit of some light rain possibility on Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. The models have really started to weaken it. Notice a 1018 millibar low. That is a extremely weak low. It might as well just not even be on the map. All it is painting a few showers around the parts of the mid-south, and those I think will miss us and go to our south. I think we might just see an increase in clouds on Wednesday night and Thursday morning. That system moves away. What it does do is it brings in cooler temperatures going into the latter half of this work week. By the time we're getting into Friday morning, we'll be seeing temperatures in the morning around the freezing mark once again, or just a little bit below it. So we'll get back to that normal chilly weather for this time of the year, but nothing outrageously cold or outrageously warm. We will see temperatures begin to warm up quickly as another low pressure system, which was looking like it would produce snow a couple of days ago, is now looking to be a rainmaker as the low pressure goes off to our north. There will be enough cold air on the onset of this system that if it moves in quick enough on Saturday morning, we could see a brief window of opportunity of some wintry mix across the area. Not a sure bet. By this time next week, we'll be updating the next briefing for that weekly weather briefing, so we won't be having to probably do any updates on this system unless it moves in quicker than anticipated and produces some travel hazards. But right now, it's looking like we will be seeing rain with this system. For the most part, might see that little brief opportunity of wintry mix on the onset changing over to rain, and we might see it changing back over to wintry mix. Predicted by some of the models, the Canadian model has been a little bit more bullish on the idea of snow on our region with this event. It has a little bit more cold air in its model's ideas, so that is why it is doing that. I think we stay mostly rain. The GFS shows another resurge of moisture coming in as another area of low pressure comes into the area on around January 2nd, and it doesn't really look like it has a whole lot it doesn't look like it has a good idea with this system. So I don't know what the GFS really, once you get out this far, it's really becoming questionable. But the GFS and other models in particular have been very consistent on the idea of some sort of system coming in around the first week of January, around the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th time frame. Somewhere between the 4th through the 8th of January, we will have a very cold air mass coming into the area. I'm very confident about that. Unless we have low pressure going to our north, if this system goes to our north, then we end up with warm air and rain. If it stays to our south, we'll see the cold air. Hopefully it doesn't go too far south like the GFS is predicting. This is the first model run that it has where it just showed all of the snow and ice to the south. More than likely this wouldn't happen. I think if we saw any snow or ice, the main concern would be really along I-40 and northward if the event stayed to our south and actually materialized. But at this time, this is still a week and a half out, so very low confidence with this event. But it's something to watch for you snow and winter lovers out there, because I know this warm weather on Christmas Day is sort of bringing an upset, especially because we've had so much cold air over the last several days. It has that same system moving off towards the eastern seaboard by around January 7th, and we're already starting to get out close to the very end of this model's run, and it has another resurgence of cold air plunging into the United States at the end of this model run around January 10th. We do have cold air, very good cold air possibly available for us. Several rounds of cold air is potentially on the table as we go into the first and second week of January. A little while ago, it was looking like this cold air would hold off until around mid-January to late January. Now it's starting to look like it might come in a little earlier. There are some meteorologists, such as Joe Bastardi, that is still holding with his idea on the idea of it coming in around mid-January to late January. And there is, the good potential is that it stays and it comes locked in then. But there is potential that we see it coming in a week or two earlier, and this is when we'll have to watch that happen. Of course, we'll have warm-ups and cool-downs, but the question is, do we see that cold come and lock in like it did for most of this month of December? There is high potential that that happens again in January. And remember, in December, our averages aren't as low as they are in January and February. So if we see this cold air come locked in around January like it did in December, we'll be seeing temperatures around 10 to 20 degrees colder, if not even more than that, in January if we see those kind of same setup cold air masses coming into the area. So this week, the only system we have to watch is Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and that's about it. And then going into next weekend, we have another system to monitor that right now looks to be mostly rain. Temperatures this week, right now, we're very warm in the upper 60s to low 70s. We'll see temperatures rise ahead of the cold front again tomorrow. There is potential we get a few degrees higher than what we got today tomorrow, but it would be very brief as that cold front moves through. Temperatures drop about 20 degrees to the upper 40s to low 50s for Tuesday, and then we start to moderate ahead of the next system on Wednesday and Thursday. Temperatures on Wednesday more than likely in the mid to upper 50s, and then we drop into the mid to upper 40s for Thursday and mid 40s for Friday. Saturday, we begin to warm back up again just a little bit to those upper 40s, and then low 50s being predicted on this National Weather Service blend of models. This is all the models put together, and it is showing low 50s for next Sunday. Temperatures next weekend are very low on confidence because of that next system. Depending on where it tracks, depends on our temperatures. If it goes as north as this last system is going right now, then we'll see temperatures just as warm as we're experiencing right now. If it goes over us or just a little bit to the north of us, temperatures will be warmer than normal, but not as warm as we're experiencing at this current moment on Christmas weekend. And if we see it go south of us, then we're going to have to watch for some wintry precipitation potential, but more than likely odds would favor it going to the northwest of us. Temperatures over the next 7 days will be rainfall over the next 7 days will be anywhere between 1 to 2 inches over the region. Still very welcomed rainfall, as many are forgetting that we are still in drought right now. It's not as worse as it was, or not as bad as it was a couple of weeks ago or about a month ago, but my prediction was by the end of December we would see this drought wiped out across our region. We have 6 days to see if that verifies. Right now, this is not counting in the rainfall that we have got so far this weekend, and this won't count in the rainfall that we are about to get on Monday afternoon when that cold front arrives, where we will have additional precipitation experiencing tomorrow. So it is not counting in those numbers. We could see an additional half-inch of rain as the cold front comes through tomorrow. And if we get a few light showers on Wednesday night, Thursday morning, that would just help this drought out even more on going away. So right now it is showing that we are in moderate drought to abnormally dry, which is almost the same as a slight drought on this model map. There's no such thing as a slight drought on this key index here, but it does have that moderate where you see the peach color, and then the yellow is abnormally dry or a slight drought in our areas. So we do have most of our northwesterly counties in that slight drought, abnormally dry conditions, and we still have most of western Kentucky, some southern Purchase areas that are experiencing that moderate drought right now. So still dry across the region, but we are really walking ourselves out of this drought very quickly, and it looks like if this active pattern continues, we will be erasing this drought within the next 1 to 2 weeks. For sure, if not in the next couple of days, as these next rounds of rain come into our region.